1:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Catherine Pereira and read by Geethanjali Ramanayaka. 8 proposals relevant to the annual reports of many statutory boards are to be approved without debate. The opposition leader has accused of importing medicinal drugs that are not up to the standards. It has been stated that all should understand the present situation of the country. More than 600,000 appeals have been received regarding the welfare benefits. All Ceylon Canteen Owners Association has decided to reduce the prices of kottu and fried rice by 10%. At least 43 injured in daylight strike in Kharkiv region. News in detail. Parliament met this morning. 8 proposals relevant to the annual report of the many statutory boards are to be approved without debate. Cabinet approval has been granted to prepare a bill to introduce a new law for the recognition of the high standards maintained by senior advocates in the field of law. The Attorney General's clearance has been given for the Senior Counsel Honours Conferment Bill prepared accordingly by the legal draftsman. As such, the Cabinet of Ministers approved the proposal presented by the Minister of Justice, Prison Affairs and Constitutional Reforms to publish the bill in the Government Gazette and to table consequently in the Parliament for approval. Minister Kehelia Ramukwala said that there is no shortage of 14 life-saving drugs. He made this remark answering to a question raised by the opposition leader Sajith Premadasa. The opposition leader has accused and importing medicinal drugs that are not up to the standards. The amended bill for the Code of Civil Procedure in the Government Gazette was submitted for the parliamentary approval. After that, the Civil Law Reform Subcommittee of the Minister of Justice, Prison Affairs and Constitutional Reforms has identified some other amendments to be made to the bill. The Attorney General's clearance has also been received for the final bill prepared by the legal draftsman, including those amendments. As such, the Cabinet of Ministers approved the proposal presented by the Minister of Justice, Prison Affairs and Constitutional Reforms to publish the bill in the Government Gazette and to table consequently in the Parliament for approval. Strengthening of health services in the Northern Province under Dutch financial support, an agreement has been reached with the ING Bank NV of the Netherlands to obtain €45 million loan to finance 75% of the project cost of strengthening the provision of health services in the Northern Province project. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena says that all should act in an understanding manner regarding the present situation in the country. He made this remark while participating at the Cabinet Decision media briefing held at the Government Information Department. He also stated that it is important to acknowledge the people in this regard. The statement that will mislead the people in order to gain narrow political mileage should not be made. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The Aswasuma Welfare Benefit Program Board says that more than 600,000 appeals have been received regarding the list of names to be paid for the welfare benefits. Chairman of the board, B. Vijayratna, told the SLBC that the appeals can be forwarded until the 10th of this month. This program will be implemented soon while considering the appeals and the objections. The Minister of Agriculture says that many concessions will be provided to the farmers in 5 selected districts for the maize cultivation in the next Maha season. These concessions will be provided under the Small Scale Agri-Entrepreneurs Program. Accordingly, it has been decided to provide many concessions to the farmers in the Hambantota, Monragala, Anuradhapura, Ampara and Badulla districts. And that ends local news for now.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
All Ceylon Canteen Owners Association has decided to reduce the prices of kottu and fried rice by 10%. Accordingly, Chairman of the association Asela Sampath said that the prices of kottu selling between 500 rupees to 700 will be reduced by 70 rupees. He told the SLBC that this decision has been taken to provide the benefits to the public due to the revision of the prices of gas. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
On to Watchlight. The Ministry of Health says that 4 people are dying once in every 3 hours due to accidents. The National Prevention of Accidents and Management Program has pointed out that more than 12,000 persons are dying annually due to accidents. People should be on alert on this matter, and that came to you in Watchlight. And on to a bulletin of world news. In the headlines, at least 43 injured in daylight strike in Kharkiv region. Crippling fuel crisis turns Cuba to old friend Russia. A man jailed for life in Germany for stabbing teenage girls. At least 43 people, including 12 children, have been injured after a missile struck the car park of a residential building in Ukraine's Kharkiv region, local officials say. What is believed to be a Russian Iskander missile landed in the town of Pervomesky yesterday. Ukrainian Prosecutor General Andriy Kostin said there were only residential buildings in the area. A 1-year-old and a 10-month-old were reportedly among the injured. Mr. Kostin said targeting the residential buildings amounted to another war crime from Russia. A Cuban taxi driver, Hejo Loro, is reminded of his nation's historic ties to Russia every time he gets behind the wheel of his navy blue Soviet-era Lada. His boxy Russian-made car is one of the estimated 100,000 that were imported to the Caribbean island during the Cold War. Over the years, the fleet of Ladas arrived in Cuba as a means around the decades-long U.S. economic embargo on the island. Now, amid a crippling fuel crisis and a dire economic outlook, the island's leadership has again turned to its old ally, Russia, for help. For Hejo, it's been a constant struggle to keep his car on the road. Spare parts are scarce and expensive. Now even filling the tank with petrol has become a days-long ordeal. A court in southern Germany has sentenced an Eritrean asylum seeker to life for stabbing 2 teenage girls, one of them fatally. The 27-year-old man, identified only as Okba B, attacked the girls in the town of Ilekskaba in December. The 14-year-old, called Ace, died from 23 stabs wounds, and her friend, aged 13, was critically injured. Prosecutors said he attacked them after they saw his knife, which he intends to use at a local immigration office. He said he was angry over officials' failure to issue him with a passport, which he needed to order to get married in Ethiopia. The verdict judged his crime to be particularly severe, meaning he is very unlikely to get early release after serving 15 years in prison. And back to the headlines of the world news. At least 43 injured in daylight strike in Kharkiv region. Crippling fuel crisis turns Cuba to old friend Russia, and a man jailed for life in Germany for stabbing teenage girls. And that ends World News.
Development News is brought to you by
Vacancies for women from Deshakti Lanka for housemaids in Kuwait, Oman and Saudi Arabia for ages 23 to 58 years. Contact number 037 7500 500.
On to development news. Under the concessional loan scheme of the French government, the Livestock Development Division of the Ministry of Agriculture will establish 6 mini milk processing centres. The first of these mini milk processing centres was opened in the Variapola Minhettia area yesterday. And that was development news.
Vacancies for women from Deshakti Lanka for housekeepers, home cooks, caretakers and home nurses in Kuwait, Oman, Saudi Arabia and Singapore for ages 23 to 57 years. Salaries starting from 156,000 rupees. Interviews with foreign agents are now on. Come whether you have a passport or not. Branches, Colombo, Kurunagala, Anuradhapura and Matara. Contact number 037 7500 500.
On to sports news. Super 6 round match to qualify for the World Championship Cricket Tournament is being played in Harare, Zimbabwe. Oman team and the West Indies team will compete. The West Indies team won the toss and have decided to field first against Oman. And that was sports news.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The earnings from the exports of agricultural goods increased in May 2023 compared to a year ago, with a substantial share of increase being contributed by tea, led by higher average export prices and volumes. Meanwhile, an increase in earnings was reported in seafood, mainly processed fish, spices, mainly higher volumes of nutmeg, maize and cinnamon. Minor agricultural products, mainly fruits and coconuts, and manufactured tobacco and vegetables. And that was business news.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
And now in economic news.
Air China resumed flights with Colombo from Chengdu, and the first flight arrived at the Katnayak International Airport on Monday night. An A320 Airbus type aircraft was used for this first maiden flight, and there were 142 passengers and 9 flight crew members in this flight. The Chinese national airline will operate 3 weekly flights to Colombo on Sundays, Wednesdays and Fridays. And that was economic news.
Weather report.
Showers are likely to occur in the southwestern parts of the island with the activation of the southwestern monsoon, the Department of Meteorology said. Intermittent showers can be expected in the western, Sabaragamuwa and central provinces, as well as the Galle and Mathura districts, the department said. Heavy rainfall of over 50 to 75 millimeters can also be expected in several areas. Meanwhile, the naval and fishing communities are warned against venturing out into the sea owing to rough seas and increased wind speed in coastal areas from Trincomalee, Mannar, Kankei Santuré, Putlam, Colombo, Galle to Hambantota. And that was the weather report. And prior to concluding this news broadcast, the headlines once again. 8 proposals relevant to the annual report of many statutory boards are to be approved without a debate. The opposition leader has accused on importing medicinal drugs that are not up to the standards. It has been stated that all should understand the present situation of the country. More than 600,000 appeals have been received regarding the welfare benefits. All Ceylon Cantil Owners Association has decided to reduce the prices of kottu and fried rice by 10%. Foreign news, at least 43 injured in daylight strike in Kharkiv region. And with that, we end this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation and handing over to Satya on the other side to keep you entertained. Over to you, Satya.